Okay, I just wanted to start off with that song because it just really resonates with me. Um, I remember it being really uplifting and catchy when I was younger, and now that I'm older, the lyrics really strike a chord with me. But I'm making this video because of a post I responded to a few days ago. But before I do that, let me introduce myself. Jambo, my name is Amara. How y'all doing? If you're not familiar with me, I am a full spectrum doula, holistic healer, and I am a sexual trauma advocate. So this video has to do a little bit with all three because in my work, a lot of the women that are trying to get pregnant or having fertility issues or having pregnancy complications, it all kind of comes back from their childhood trauma. And unfortunately, that childhood trauma is either childhood incest, childhood sexual abuse, or rape, or as we also call it, molestation. It's funny how they have all these different names for violating someone's soul, but I digress. So the post was, um, what would you give advice to women in their 20s? And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool because I always wish that I had a big sister that like gave me advice and took me places and did things with me and I could talk to about boys and relationships, but unfortunately I didn't have that bond. But thankfully, uh, my mother basically was like my mother and my big sister, and she was really amazing. And she was my first shero, my first role model, and I love her. We've had our ups and downs, of course. I am a Sagittarius, she's a Gemini. We're both very opinionated, very strong willed, very personable, very outspoken women. So we bump heads, but we love each other. But I wanted to take the post a step further. So my advice wasn't just for women in their 20s. It was for women in their early teens, late teens. Basically, this is just for girls too. I would say before you get into a relationship with anyone, you have to heal yourself. You have to heal your womb and you have to heal your bloodline. And what I mean by that is just like we get our traits and genetics from our parents, we also get generational trauma, generational curses, even generational gifts. We always talk about the curses, but we never talk about the talent and the gifts that are passed from grandmother to mother to daughter. Um, but yes, so my advice to young teenage girls and to women in their early 20s, late 20s, my advice, period, is before you get into a relationship with anyone, um, honestly, even before you date, if you want to date, that's fine, but before you do anything serious, please heal yourself, heal your womb, and heal your bloodline. And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, we never talk about how slavery left such a imprint on our souls and on our DNA. And unfortunately, we've carried that from generation to generation. And a lot of things that we view as black culture and a lot of things that we view as black characteristics are really survival techniques that we had to pick up and use in order just to make it through one day being owned by someone who has no empathy, compassion, or even a soul. So of course, that doesn't just go away. Slavery didn't just go away. So why would the trauma and the abuse just go away. Unfortunately, it altered our DNA, and we've passed it down from generation to generation. And it's funny because the thing is, we speak about generational curses all the time because we say, oh, that runs in the family. And we just kind of like, it's an excuse instead of taking accountability and being proactive and saying, you know what, well, it stops here and it ends now with me. Like, a lot of people like, oh, well, that just runs in my family. Okay. But will it run with you, though? And I feel that once you are tapped in and spiritually in tuned and aligned with source and with energy and with the universe, you realize that there is so much trauma in the blood, in our DNA, that comes from literally 600 years of oppression, rape, torture, beatings, being starved, being sold off, not being able to build family units, not being able to build intimate connections with others without white people and others destroying them. And then after slavery, that continued. I feel like what we see right now is a reflection of the unhealed trauma that is in the collective womb of us as a people. Because I teach my clients that as a woman, your reality, your life is a reflection of your womb. The cradle of civilization is the cradle of creation. So if you are a creator, you are literally creating the life that you have. And if your world is chaotic, if your world is a mess, if your life is a mess, that means something in your womb is chaotic and a mess. And usually it is. There's a reason why Black women, we lead in numbers when it comes to having fibroids and cysts and hysterectomies, ovarian cancer. Then not to mention the fact that we have an extremely high maternal mortality rate, which is completely unacceptable and can be avoided. But instead, it's been exacerbated by social conditions and abject poverty. And it's really sad because it is something that can be fixed. It's something that we can heal. But the thing is, it's something that each one of us as a woman, it's our responsibility to make sure that we are healed, that we are complete, that we are whole before we try to connect with other people. And that's the issue. We have all of these unhealed, broken, fractured people trying to make connections with each other, and they wonder why the connection is distorted, and so it turns into attachment, and attachment becomes it's unhealthy and it's parasitic, and it ends up being toxic. So, like I said, in order to avoid that, we must teach our daughters to value themselves, to love themselves as themselves. And it's hard for our daughters to love themselves if they see mom wearing weave all the time. Now, I will never try to tell a woman how to wear her hair, but children do as they see, not as they are told. Because literally they are mimicking. That's how children learn. They mimic others, and they mimic social cues and contacts and stuff that they picked up from others, so they can learn how to deal with life themselves. So you can tell your daughter, oh, you're beautiful, you're amazing, you're smart, you're intelligent, but if the behavior that you're displaying doesn't back that up, then she's not going to do as you say. She's going to do what you're doing. If you tell her that her natural hair is beautiful, but she never sees you wear your natural hair out, subconsciously she's going to be like, well, mommy says my natural hair is beautiful, but mommy never wears her natural hair. And I always hear her talking about how she needs to hurry up and go get this hair taken care of. And we have to watch how we speak on our hair. As I was saying, like, children pick up on that. And the offhand comments you make, oh, we got to do something about this nappy hair and all that. Children internalize that, and they grow up believing that their hair is something to be ashamed of. It's something to be hidden. It's a burden instead of being beautiful and texturized and coily and kinky. And we don't teach them that our hair is our connection to the ancestors and the gods, and that our hair conducts energy. I just think it's amazing, like, just how inquisitive and naturally brilliant children are. But throughout the years of social conditioning, and unfortunately, their parents, our parents telling us what we can't do. Oh, you can't do this and you can't do that, and you're not supposed to do this and you're not supposed to do that. And especially girls, we tell our girls, there's a whole list of things that we tell girls that they can't do, and it's not true. Now, there are some things I don't believe that we should do because it doesn't flow with our feminine energy, but I would never say that you can't do it. I would just say it's possible, but that doesn't flow with your feminine energy. You are a divine feminine creature. You are the mother of creation. So therefore, you should act like one. So we have to start clearing our bloodlines, clearing these generational curses that plague our family, and especially in the Black community. We got to think about this. What are some generational curses or generational strongholds that either you yourself have had to fight against and stop, or maybe your mother did the work for you and you picked up where she left off? No matter where your family is on their journey, there should come a point in time where you're like, okay, it's time that this stops. And I'm fortunate that my mom started the work. That's why it made it so much easier for me to do what I do, because she went ahead and cleared some of that path, and now I'm able to help. And when you heal yourself, you heal your grandmother, you heal your mother, you heal your great-great-grandmother, you help heal your ancestors in the other realm, and then you also heal your womb for future generations. For me, I was like, you know what? For me, the poverty mentality, it stops with me. Childhood molestation, it stops with me. Childhood abuse, it stops with me. Childhood incest, it stops with me. Rape, it stops with me. I refuse to let this continue to be passed along to my daughters and my great-granddaughters and my granddaughters. I refuse. I am doing the work now as we speak to make sure that I can do whatever I can to make sure that I set them up for success, and not just physically and financially, but spiritually and emotionally. So when I say that you need to heal your womb, you need to heal your womb. Myself personally, I've noticed a huge just shift in my life. Once I started doing this work, I was already on a spiritual journey, and it was hard because, you think spirituality is all like, peace, love, and light. But if you're just all peace and love and light, there's no balance. And the great goddess Mayat is all about balance. This universe is all about balance. You can't have rain without balance. You can't grow crops without balance. You can't make a baby without balance. So, yes, spirituality is peace and love and light, but it is also hate, vengeance, and shadow work. You have to do your shadow work. If you don't heal your childhood trauma, it will haunt you forever, and then it'll haunt your children. Do you really want to, will that be their inheritance? Trauma, dysfunction, poverty, alcoholism, rape, abuse? Is that the legacy you want to leave behind? Or do you want to leave a legacy behind of healing, of joy, of creation, of divinity, of just being absolute oneness and balance? So it's up to each of us to decide that, because it's a choice. No one can make you. No one can do it for you. You can't cheat your way through it. There are no shortcuts. You can't buy your way out of this. You just got to do the work. And hopefully, along the way, you'll find some amazing people, or you'll align with amazing people who all come into your life to help heal and to cheer you on and to encourage you and to guide you and to teach you. That's what I hope for you. If you're watching this video, I hope that you will be able to be the one that stops whatever dysfunction or generational curses or strongholds running your family. I hope that you're the one who is strong enough and brave enough to say, this is it. This will not continue. I refuse to let this be my life, my legacy, or my children's inheritance. I speak life into you, sister. I love you. I love you. I love you. Now you go in the mirror and you tell yourself that you love yourself, because how can you love someone else if you can't love yourself? How can you expect someone else to love you if you don't love you? And I'm not talking about that stuff you see on TV where, it's not about it's not just about loving your physical. But yes, you love your physical. Love the body that you have. Love how you were created. You know what I'm saying? Look at this melanin, man. Look at it. And my 4C hair, I can do any protective style. I can do braids. I can do faux locks. Look, don't even get me started. I am so grateful and so thankful to be young, black, and gifted. I am just beyond, just so filled. I am a proud black woman. I am a proud African woman. And I want that for you. I want you to be able to be proud of who you are. And that starts with healing. And once you start healing, then comes the joy, and then you can tap into your creative center and just start to manifest the best life and the best you. So that's what you're going to do today, right? So I'm gonna let y'all, we're gonna end on a little good note, okay? Oh, we gotta stick together.